Isaac Newton, the man who revolutionized science. A turbulent beginning. On Christmas Day, December 25th, 1642, or January 4th, 1643, by the modern calendar, a frail and premature baby was born in the small English village of Woolsthorpe. His name was Isaac Newton. His father, a wealthy but uneducated farmer, had died 3 months before Isaac's birth. His mother, Hannah Ayscough Newton, was left to raise him alone until she remarried 3 years later. Newton's early life was difficult. When his mother remarried, she left young Isaac in the care of his grandmother, an event that left him feeling abandoned. He grew up as a quiet, introverted child who preferred reading and building mechanical devices over socializing. His intelligence was evident from an early age, but he was often distracted and uninterested in formal schooling. At the age of 12, he was sent to King's School in Grantham, where he was initially an average student. However, a fight with a classmate motivated him to surpass his peers. Newton became obsessed with learning, spending countless hours studying mathematics, philosophy, and mechanics. His fascination with nature and scientific inquiry was already beginning to take shape. Cambridge and the Plague Years. At 18, Newton enrolled at Trinity College, Cambridge in 1661. He was initially expected to follow the traditional curriculum, which was based on Aristotle's teachings. However, Newton found Aristotle's explanations unsatisfactory and began exploring the works of more recent thinkers, like René Descartes, Johannes Kepler, and Galileo Galilei. During his time at Cambridge, Newton discovered the fundamental ideas of calculus, though he did not publish them immediately. He also developed an interest in optics and mechanics. His intellectual journey was cut short in 1665, when the Great Plague forced the university to close, and Newton returned to Woolsthorpe. It was during this period of isolation that Newton made some of his most profound discoveries. While in his family's countryside home, he developed his theories on calculus, optics, and motion, the falling apple and the laws of motion. One of the most famous stories about Newton is that he saw an apple fall from a tree and began to wonder why objects always fell straight down rather than sideways or upward. While the story has been somewhat exaggerated, there is truth to it. Newton contemplated the force that pulled objects toward the earth and realized it must also govern celestial bodies like the moon and planets. He began formulating the idea that the same force pulling the apple to the ground was responsible for keeping the moon in orbit around the earth. This realization led to his groundbreaking work on gravity. However, it would be years before he fully developed and published his findings. During this time, Newton also made significant contributions to optics. He discovered that white light was composed of a spectrum of colors, which he demonstrated by passing sunlight through a prism. This experiment laid the foundation for the field of optics and led to his invention of the reflecting telescope, which used mirrors instead of lenses to improve image clarity. The Principia, a masterpiece of science. In 1667, Newton returned to Cambridge, where he was appointed a Fellow of Trinity College. His work caught the attention of leading scientists, including the astronomer Edmund Halley. Halley encouraged Newton to formally publish his work on motion and gravity. In 1687, Newton released his magnum opus, Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, the mathematical principles of natural philosophy, commonly known as the Principia. This book revolutionized science and established the fundamental laws of physics. In the Principia, Newton formulated his 3 laws of motion. 1. The law of inertia. An object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion remains in motion unless acted upon by an external force. 2. The law of acceleration. The force acting on an object is equal to its mass times its acceleration, F equals ma. 3. The law of action and reaction. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. He also presented the universal law of gravitation, which mathematically explained how every object in the universe exerts a gravitational force on every other object. This work not only explained planetary motion, but also laid the groundwork for modern physics. The publication of Principia made Newton one of the most famous scientists of his time. His discoveries provided a framework that guided scientific thought for centuries, shaping the fields of physics, engineering, and astronomy. Controversies and feuds. Despite his intellectual brilliance, Newton had a difficult personality. He was secretive, intensely private, and prone to feuds with other scientists. One of his most famous disputes was with German mathematician Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz over the invention of calculus. Although both men independently developed calculus, Newton accused Leibniz of plagiarism. The debate turned bitter, dividing the mathematical community for years. Newton also clashed with fellow scientist Robert Hooke, a prominent member of the Royal Society. Hooke accused Newton of stealing ideas about planetary motion, leading to a long-standing rivalry. Some historians believe that Newton's conflicts with Hooke influenced his decision to delay the publication of his work on gravity. Despite these disputes, Newton's influence continued to grow. In 1696, he was appointed Warden of the Royal Mint, a position in which he reformed England's currency and prosecuted counterfeiters. His meticulous work helped stabilize the British economy. Later years and influence. In 1703, Newton was elected president of the Royal Society, the most prestigious scientific institution in England. He used his position to promote scientific research and innovation. In 1705, Queen knighted him, making him Sir Isaac Newton, the first scientist to receive such an honor. In his later years, Newton focused more on alchemy and theology than physics. He was deeply religious and spent considerable time studying biblical texts, trying to uncover hidden messages. However, his contributions to science remained his most enduring legacy. Newton continued working and writing until his death on March 20th, 1727, at the age of 84. He was buried in Westminster Abbey, an honor reserved for England's most distinguished figures. Newton's legacy. Isaac Newton's contributions to science transformed the world. His laws of motion and gravity provided the foundation for classical mechanics, which remained unchallenged until Albert Einstein introduced relativity in the 20th century. His work in optics and calculus remains fundamental to physics and mathematics today. Beyond his scientific achievements, Newton embodied the spirit of discovery and perseverance. His ability to question existing beliefs and seek deeper truths continues to inspire generations of scientists, engineers, and thinkers. As Newton himself once said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." Yet, for those who followed him, Newton was one of the greatest giants of all.